and verse number 1 to 3. Actually, we'll read up to verse number 7. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamp, according to the house of their fathers, a lamp for an house. Verse number 5. Your lamp shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Verse number 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. So we are being introduced to the instructions of the Passover lamb. But why were the children of Israel doing all these things? Let's skip to verse number 12 and see the reason God gave the Passover instructions. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. So God gave Passover instructions because there was judgment to be executed. Verse number 18. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I'll pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So God had prepared judgment. God had prepared a plague to inflict upon the firstborns in the land of Egypt. And for him to preserve Israel, not to preserve Egypt, but to preserve Israel dwelling in Egypt, he gave Israel the Passover instructions. You will see that the Passover instructions were issued to preserve Israel. Because Exodus 12, verse number 12 and 13, let me read. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Verse 18. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I'll pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So God prepared the Passover instructions to protect the Israelites who were dwelling in the land of Egypt. So you will see that they were given instructions on how to select the lamb, how to keep it, how to kill it, and what to do with the blood. And those who were going to follow the Passover instructions were going to be spared or protected or not be subjected to the judgment which was to come upon Israel. So we want to see that Christ is the Passover lamb. Because Moses used the figures. Moses used the types. Moses used the typology to depict, to picture the work of Christ in saving mankind. Listen to the words of Apostle Paul. 1 Corinthians 5 verse number 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lamp, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed. Christ is the Passover lamb. Even Christ our Passover is sacrificed. So Moses said, kill the Passover, put the blood by their doorsteps. Jesus came and said, do not think that I'll accuse you before the Father. There is one who is going to accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed in Moses, you'd have believed me also, for Moses wrote of me. Then the question will be, Jesus, you are saying Moses wrote of you. How come he never mentioned your name? He will tell you that he used the types. Last week, we showed you that Isaac is a type of Christ. The other week, we showed you Joseph. His promotion, receiving a new name, given a wife. We see Jesus Christ being lifted up above every other name. That at the mention of the name Jesus Christ, every knee should bow. And he was given a new, and he was given the bride, the church. So Moses used types and figures to depict Christ. And we are here, and Paul is saying, for even Christ, our Passover lamb, is sacrificed for us. As the lamb died for the firstborns of Israel to be spared, Jesus died as the Passover lamb for those who believe in him to be spared from the judgment to come. What did John do? John chapter number 1, verse number 29. The next day, John saith Jesus coming unto him, and he said, behold, the Lamb of God. So Jesus was typified as a lamb by Moses when he said, kill the Passover lamb. So we want to go through the instructions to prove and certainly come to a conclusion that Jesus is the Passover lamb. So the Passover lamb had some properties or characteristics. So here we have the Passover lamb, here we have Jesus. We want to see how the Passover lamb pictures Jesus Christ. So let's go to Exodus chapter number 12 and let's read verse number 5. For your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. Look at this. Your lamb shall be without blemish. So the Passover lamb, number one, it must be without blemish. Without blemish. Without blemish. Without blemish. How does this figure Jesus Christ? Because when Moses was giving Passover instructions, he said, you select a lamb, make sure that lamb is without blemish, it is without fault, it is without speck or whatsoever. It must be a lamb without blemish. Now let's hear the words of Peter in the book of 1 Peter chapter number 1 and verse number 18 and 19. For as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain conversations received by traditions of your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ as of a lamb without blemish. 1 Peter chapter number 1 verse 18 to 19. Peter is saying, Moses told you to select a lamb without blemish to be sacrificed for your Passover. As Christ, a lamb without blemish, has also died for us. Let's read 1 Peter 1:19. But with the precious blood of Christ. Remember, the blood of the lamb. We'll come to the blood of the lamb. What do you do with the blood of the lamb? Now, Peter is talking about the same. But with the precious blood of Christ, as of the lamb without blemish. So Jesus is the lamb without. That's why the devil came to tempt Jesus. He was trying to put a speck. If you go to Matthew chapter number 4. Matthew chapter number 4. Jesus' temptation. Start from verse number 1. Going this side. Soon after baptism, he was led by the Spirit in the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Now you will see him overcoming temptation. What is that? We are seeing Christ being a lamb without blemish. Are you forgetting what happened to Joseph? Didn't Potiphar's wife come to tempt Joseph? So Potiphar's wife was a picture of the devil who would come and tempt Jesus. So Jesus is that lamb without blemish. Let's quickly go and see the other property of the lamb for the Passover. What else? Let's read verse 3 and 6. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers. So in the 10th day, so I'm going to talk about point number 2. How does the Passover lamb picture Christ? How does the Passover lamb picture Christ? Moses said, in the 10th day, select your lamb without blemish. Verse number 6, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day. So they were supposed to select a lamb and keep it, live with it, monitor it, scrutinize it, test it to see whether it's that. For how many days? For 4 days. So they were supposed to live with the lamb for 4 days to test it, to search for blemish, so that they make sure that their lamb is without blemish. So live with the lamb. Live with it. Live with the lamb. How does this picture Jesus Christ? We see the children of Israel selecting their lamb, living with it in the house for 4 good days. Because verse number 3 says, you select it on the 10th day of the month. Verse number 6 says, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So from the 10th day to the 14th day, it's 4 good days living with the lamb of sacrifice, living with the Passover lamb, to make sure that it is tested. Now, we see Jesus. Isaiah prophesied about this, chapter number 7, verse number 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. What's the meaning of the Emmanuel? Which being interpreted God with us. So they are supposed to live with the sacrifice for 4 days, from the 10th day to the 14th day. Christ came and dwelt amongst them. God with us. Yet Jesus was the lamb, but he dwelt with them, giving them time to test him, giving them time to scrutinize him, giving them time to search for the blemish. So as the children of Israel, we are seeing Isaiah here. Chapter number 7, verse 14. Christ coming of a virgin, living among Israel. What does Galatians 4:4 say? Galatians 4:4. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them. He came and he was subject to the law. He lived under the law. He lived. They didn't know that this is the Passover lamb we are supposed to live with for 4 days. From the 10th day to the 14th day. So he came and he lived with them 30 years. He was with them, quiet, without revealing his identity. 3.5 years he was with them, claiming and teaching. They never knew that his teachings, he is the lamp we are supposed to be searching. No, they tempted him, they tested. Let's see Luke chapter number 10, verse 1 to 2. And he arose from hence and cometh unto the coast of Judea by the further side of Jordan. And the people resort unto him again, and as he was wont, he taught them again. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? Tempting him. Why did they come to tempt him? You select your Passover lamb, but to prove that it is without blemish, you must live with it from the 10th day to the 14th day, to search for any blemish, to search for any speckle, to search for any spot, to search for anything that can condemn the lamb, so that it cannot. Remember, the lamb must be without blemish. And to verify that the lamb is without blemish, we must live with it from the 10th day to the 14th day. To do what? To search it. So Jesus came. Galatians 4:4. In the fullness of time, Christ came and he was made of a woman made under the law. He was born among them. He started living with them 30 years. Living with them. He wanted them to search speckles and spots to find if there will be any blemish. Look at John chapter number 8. Let's see them searching the lamp for speckles, spots, and any blemish. John chapter number 8, verse number 3. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act. Now, Moses in the law, now they wanted to test him. You select your lamp, you live with it for 4 days. To do what? To test it, to search for spots, to search for speckles, so that it cannot be sacrificed, or it can be sacrificed if it is not blemished. Now look at verse number 5. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou? Verse number 6. This they said, tempting him, that they might have to cause to accuse him. Look at this. Why are they bringing a woman caught in adultery? If Moses said, stone the one caught in adultery, why didn't they stone her on the spot? Why are they saying, okay, we have caught her, let's take her to Jesus? Number 2, adultery is committed by 2 people. Why are they bringing a woman only and leaving the man? Because you can't commit adultery alone. There must be a partner in a crime. So they brought a woman. What about the man? So Jesus said, okay, I know that I'm the lamp of the Passover, which must be tested, and I will attend to their test. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground, as he taught, and as though he heard them not. If you continue down, he said, anyone who has not sinned, cast the first stone. And no one could cast the stone on the woman. And they left one after the other. But the context is this. The Passover lamp must be in the house, living with the children of Israel, from the 10th day of the month to the 14th day of the month. Why? To test it. And we see them coming to test Jesus Christ. We see them coming to test Jesus Christ. And let's see, because if the lamp is tested and it's not blemished, it must be killed. But let's see, did Jesus overcome? How come Peter says he is without blemish? Let's go to the book of John. Chapter number 19. Verse number 4 going down. Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him. When the time for the lamb to be killed was come, they took Jesus to Pilate and said, Crucify this man. Pilate said, Bring him to me. I need to test him. I need to put him through a trial to see whether he is with fault or without fault. Now, if the lamb of sacrifice has a fault, it won't be sacrificed. They will locate another one. So Pilate took Christ to scrutinize him, to see if he was at fault, to see if he was with some blemish, so that if he has some blemish, he is not worthy to die, because a Passover lamb must be without blemish. Now listen to the words of Pilate. I bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him. Verse number 5. Then came Jesus forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said unto them, Behold the man. So Pilate said, Look at your Passover lamb. He is the one to die, that the judgment to come will pass over you. There is the wrath coming this evening. There is the wrath coming this evening. There is a plague coming this evening. There is judgment coming this evening. Look at the man. Here is the man you have presented to me to die, to be crucified as the lamb without blemish. I bring him to you. Behold the man. Verse number 6. When the chief priests therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him! Crucify him! Pilate said unto them, Take
ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. John chapter number 19, verse number 6. No blemish was found on him. Listen to the words of Pilate. Pilate saith unto him, take ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. Here's a question. How can a judge, a magistrate, sit down and say, I find no fault in this accused person, however, take him to jail? What kind of a trial is this? Christ is the Passover lamb. They lived with Jesus. Women were presented to him. Harlots were presented to him. Adulterous men. Remember what Simon said in his house. When Mary was anointing Jesus, Simon said, this man is not a prophet. If he was a prophet, he would have known the type of a woman anointing his feet. Remember, Mary was busy anointing Jesus, wiping with his hair, crying all over Jesus. And Simon said, this guy, does he understand the woman? This is a harlot. Very soon, they will go to the bedroom. But Jesus is the Passover lamb. He overcame. Harlots came to Jesus. Pharisees and Sadducees came to tempt him, but he overcame. He became a lamb without sin. That's why you hear Pilate saying, I have not found fault in him. Take him and crucify him. He is saying, this Jesus is a perfect Passover lamb. If he dies on the cross, then the sins of the world will be taken away. Because under the justice system, the one who is without fault must not suffer judgment. The one without fault must not go to prison. Look at this. John 19 verse 6. When the chief priest therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, crucify him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, take ye him and crucify him. What is the reason? For I find no fault in him. He was supposed to say, don't crucify him. He has no fault. He is free. Man, you are free. But Jesus, as the Passover lamb, it dies without blemish. If it has a blemish. So in other words, if Jesus was found with a fault, he was not worthy to die. He was not worthy to be crucified. That's why Pilate is saying, crucify him, for I find no fault in him. Jesus is that Passover lamb. That's why Moses said, select your lamb, live with it 4 days. Make sure it is without blemish. If it is with blemish, crucify it. If it is with blemish, don't crucify it. If it's without blemish, crucify it. When that is done, the wrath of God will pass over you. So Christ is the one, the just who died for the unjust. That the wrath of God will come. That the lake of fire awaiting the children of disobedience will pass over us. Will pass over to eternal life. Will pass over to the land of Canaan. We are not going to be part of that judgment because Christ is our Passover lamb. That's why Jesus said, John 5 verse 44 to 46. Do not think that I'll accuse you before the Father. There is one who accuseth him, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me also. For Moses wrote of me. The question is, Moses never mentioned you. How come you are saying he wrote of you? You say, don't you know that the Passover lamb must be without blemish? Don't you know that the Passover lamb must live with them? And when they search for blemish and don't find it, they will kill it. Don't you know that I came in flesh, lived among them, like the Passover lamb? They tested him. They brought harlots to me. They brought questions to me. Pharisees and Sadducees tested me in all ways, but I overcame. I became that lamb without blemish. Are you forgetting what Pilate said? Pilate said, this is the man. Take him, crucify him, for I find no fault. In the legal system in this world, in the philosophies of the legalities, the one who is without blemish does not go to jail. But here is the issue. The one without any blemish is the one going to jail. Why? The Passover lamb dies because it doesn't have the blemish. The other are guys with blemishes. They won't die. If they die, their death is in vain. That's why they don't come back to resurrection. That's why we have an Elijah, they came, they died. We have an Moses, they came and they died. Because they had a blemish. They could not be crucified on behalf of the entire mankind. Now, let's see him being crucified. Because the third thing, it must be killed by the congregation. It must be killed by the congregation in the evening time. I'm not going to talk about the evening time. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm just going to talk about it. It must be killed. Let's go to Exodus. But don't just leave with it and say, oh, it's nice. Exodus 12, verse number 6. And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the war assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So we must see the Passover lamb being killed. And how does this picture Jesus? What did Pilate say? Take him. Let's read again John chapter number 19. And Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Behold, I bring to you that ye may know that I find no fault in him. Pilate brought Jesus and said, I am not finding any fault with him. Then came Jesus forth, wearing the crown of thorns and a purple robe. And Pilate said unto them, Behold the man. Look at the man. This is the Passover lamb we have been keeping for the past 33 and a half years. I bring him out to you. This is the Passover lamb we have been with in our house. In this Old Testament setup, we have been. How did he violate the law? How is he with blemish? How did he commit sin? I am finding none. Verse number 6. When the chief priests, therefore, and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him! Crucify him! Pilate said unto him, Take ye him and crucify him, and I find no fault, because I find no fault in him. Now, verse number 16. Verse number 16. And then delivered he him, therefore, unto them to be crucified. Pilate said, I've searched the lamb. It is without blemish. It's ready to die. Because, number one, it's without blemish. Number two, you lived with it for 33 and a half years. We didn't find any fault. Take him and crucify him. And they took Jesus and led him away. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into the place called the skull. Are you seeing Isaac over there? The teaching from last week. Carrying the cross. What is the cross? Wood. What did Isaac carry when he was going to be sacrificed on that mountain? The mountains of Moriah. He was carrying wood. What is wood? The cross. Look at verse 17. You see Isaac. What we were talking about last week. And he, bearing his cross, he went forth into a place called the skull. The place of the skull, which is called in Hebrew, Golgotha. What did he carry? The cross. What did Isaac carry? The wood. What is wood? The cross. What is the cross? Wood. So Isaac. That's why Jesus said, Moses wrote of me. And I asked the question, how can Moses write of Jesus when he never mentioned his name? And I answered the same question. He used the types, figures, drama, and also people came and lived, yet their lives were just portraying Jesus. They were moved by the Spirit to behave and act and say some things so that the ministry of Christ will be revealed. Right. And he, verse number 18, where they crucify him and two other with him on the other side. Where they, so we see Jesus, John 19. John 19, verse number 18. Jesus crucified. The people who want to be saved by the Passover lamb are the people which kill the Passover lamb. The people who want to be exempted from the plague to come are the ones who crucify him. Remember, they said, let his blood be upon us and our children. What do you do with the blood of the Passover? You take it up on the doorpost. to be upon you and all those in the house. Wow. The Passover lamb is Jesus Christ. It's unfortunate we still have some gullible people who are still having Passover. It's Passover time, they go there, they start running around with all these things. We are no longer in time of figures. The substance came. Colossians chapter number 2, verse 16 and 17. Christ is the substance. The Old Testament was a shadow. What are you still doing there at Passover? People are still buying meat and eating meat without salt. That is Passover. That's lack of understanding. Gullibility at the highest level. Christ is that. What did Peter say? Look at Peter. Acts 2 verse 36. Acts 2:36. Acts 2. Did Christ die for them just like the Passover lamb? Acts 2:36. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know assuredly that God hath made the same Jesus Christ whom you crucified. It is the assembly, it is the congregation which kills the Passover lamb. It is the Jewish nation which killed and crucified Christ on that cross. Why? The same people who want the protection of the blood of the lamb are the ones to kill it. It's not the Romans who killed it, no. The priests, the officers, the Pharisees, the children of Israel led Christ on the cross because the Passover must be killed by the consumers. The fourth thing which must happen to the lamb, I'll end here today, is when you kill it, apply the blood. How does this picture Christ? Remember, they said, let his blood be upon us and our children. Let his blood be upon us and our children.
Exodus chapter number 12, verses 7. Let me just read verse 7. And he shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Verse number 7. And they shall take the blood and strike it on two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein shall they eat it. When we going to the eating part, it will be for next week. We will talk about the eating next episode, part 2, the eating instructions. So, how do we apply the blood? Because when you kill the lamb, remember the issue is Passover instructions. You must apply. It's not enough to kill the lamb. You might keep the lamb, select it without blemish, live with it from the 10th day to the 14th day, but kill it. But if you don't apply the blood, the wrath of God. Remember verse 12 and 13. Moses said, for the plague will come, and the blood shall be the sign. So killing the lamb is not enough. Selecting a good lamb without blemish, you might have the lamb without blemish, you might kill it, Christ might be sacrificed, but if the blood is not applied on the doorpost, it's equally not meaningful. It's not going to exempt you from the judgment to come. So how do we apply the blood? John chapter 3 verse 36. John 3:36. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth in him. Let's repeat Exodus chapter 12, verse 12 to 13. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. You are not just killing the Passover lamb. You are not just selecting a one without blemish. You are not just killing it and enjoying keeping it. No, there is judgment to come. Verse number 18. And the blood shall be to you for a token. So the issue is not killing. The issue is not keeping. The issue is not just having the lamb. The issue is applying the blood after killing the lamb. You might select a good lamb. You might keep it for 4 days. It might be without blemish. You might kill it. But the Passover instruction says, sprinkle the blood on the doorposts. If that is not done, the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are in. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. It is only the blood of the lamb without blemish which will make him pass over you. If you kill the lamb, or the lamb is killed but the blood is not applied, the Passover instructions are not complete. So John now, chapter number 3 verse 36 is saying, he that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth in him. So I want you to understand that John 3:36, believing is applying. How do we apply? Remember, God said to Moses, if I see the token of the blood, I will pass over you. If I don't see the blood, the wrath of God will be upon the house. Now, John 3:36 saying, he that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life. In other words, he that applies the blood will be exempted from the judgment. He that believeth will be exempted from the wrath of God. So what is he believing? Is applying the blood. Now in this modern era, in this New Testament order, we apply the blood of Christ by believing. We don't go to Israel to search for the physical blood. We apply the blood of Christ by believing. For by grace through faith are ye saved. We need the faith. By believing in him, we have applied the blood. By believing on the Son, we have applied the blood. And when we believe in him, the wrath of God does not abide on us. As God used the blood of the lamb without blemish as a token, we are going to use the faith, which is a gift from him, as a token. If you believe in the Son, look at John 3 verse 16 to 18. A lot of people memorize this verse, but they never used it. John 3 16 to 18. What does it say? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So believing in the New Testament order, believing in the Son of God, is applying the blood. Why? Once you do that, the wrath of God does not abide on you. Verse 17, for God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned. He that applies the blood is not affected by the plague for the firstborns. But he that does not believe is condemned already, for he did not believe in the name of the only begotten Son of God. So believing in the sacrifice of Christ, in the accomplished works of Calvary, in his resurrection for your justification, is application of the blood. And in not believing, you are not a partaker of the Passover lamb. The lake of fire is waiting for you. John 5:24. John 5:24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word, these are the words of Jesus Christ. It's Jesus speaking. And believeth on him that sent me, hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. So our Passover lamb is Jesus Christ. He died for us, he resurrected for us, the just died for the unjust, as a lamb without blemish. But it's not good enough that he died for us. We need to apply the blood. And what is to apply the blood? Believing in his sacrifice. Believing. Now we have a problem. People are still sacrificing. Sacrificial giving. Sacrificial this, sacrificial that. It means they're not believing in the sacrifice of Christ. And they've not yet applied the blood. And if you don't apply the blood of the lamb, you're in trouble.